Sports fans, get ready for Sportz-USA. Get sports from a personal point of view from seasoned professionals who've reported and lived the stories. Now let's go to the crew high atop the Sportz-USA press box. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm John Anskins, and welcome to the latest edition of Sportz-USA.com. It's going to be a real special edition today. With us today is one of the top Spanish language and, for my money, English language sports announcers in the country, Jorge Perez Navarro. Welcome to Sportz-USA.com, Jorge.
I thought we were moving to my favorite section in this podcast, Scattershooting.
Scattershooting. All right. Well, like you said, you must watch. So you know all about scattershooting. We're going to get to that in a moment. Tom is a new grandfather, and he is in Charlotte, North Carolina today. We've got Kevin Long and Bo Carter in Dallas, and I'm in Houston as usual. And what we want to do is, since Tom has to go be a granddad, he's got about 10 minutes with us. Tell us a little bit about where you are, and there's sports news going on there.
I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, and all the buzz, a little pun intended, is all about the Charlotte Hornets and Miami Heat play-in game tonight. It's a big deal here in Charlotte. I mean, everybody's talking about it. And when you talk about Miller and Ball and the turnaround that the Hornets have done here in the second half of the NBA season, this is kind of exciting for them. I think they're not your typical 9 and 10 seed playing in this game. It is a play-in game, and I think, though, that they'll be able to take care of the Miami Heat and get into the playoffs. And with the way they've been playing, I think they might do some damage. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, it is possible. And this time of the year is always an intriguing part because, so many things that may seem unlikely do end up happening. So
absolutely,
we'll see how it plays out.
Kevin, I tend to notice you're probably not as big an NBA fan as a college basketball fan, and I think that's just a product of they play so many games and everybody gets in the playoffs, and it's just really hard to follow.
I think you hit it right on the head because even college basketball these days, you wonder if they're playing too many insignificant games because, for the most part, a lot of things don't matter till you get that, tournament going.
Right.
And whatnot. And then we really hone in on what is important and unimportant. But, yeah, the NBA, they're on every night. Of course, one of my former students is one of the leading scorers in the league. And he's about the only one that I'll follow on a relatively close basis.
Tell everybody who that is again.
Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese.
Absolutely. Out in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
Sure is.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
let's
the other buzz here real quick in Charlotte, North Carolina is the Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL. As the season ends and we're headed into the playoffs, we've got a lot of buzz here in Charlotte about that. So two big things happening in the Charlotte area. So it was kind of exciting to be here. The traffic was kind of amazing coming out here. The plane traffic, there were a lot of fans coming into town. So I'm excited for the city of Charlotte and excited to see what happens in both those arenas, in the NBA arena and the NHL arena. And I'm assuming that, John, that you're going to go to college baseball real quick with Bo, and I have to plug my Aggies for their big win against the University of Texas, the two-game sweep, the rare two-game sweep since the third game got rained out. Bo, what'd you think of that?
Pretty amazing. Texas was coming in there 27-3, and all of a sudden walks home at 27-5. So, and one, the second game I think was a run rule game, Tom, or 11-2 or something.
It was. I was there, and they destroyed this supposed gauntlet of Longhorn pitching. They did a really good job of hammering it home. It was amazing though. The Longhorn team did impress me from one perspective. They kept hitting home runs, solo shots. There was nobody on base, but the solo shots that they were hitting, and that one young man, Aiden, I can't remember his last name, but his name was Aiden, and he has just hit home run after home run after home run, and they were monster shots. So they're going to do some damage. There's no doubt. But A&M, I saw, went up in the polls this week.
Yep, they're like
They
11 or
did. They're
12
just
in all
right
of them. They're doing well.
outside of the top 10. In one poll, they're number 9, I think.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Really
Right.
cool.
Right.
you know, that's Bo. This is when the polls really just, you know, just because I understand A&M beat Texas 2 games, but to go up 10 spots in the rankings, that either shows that they should have been higher to begin with, or somebody's just asleep at the wheel.
I'll take my usual dig at D1 baseball. They have their favorites that they take. The
Right.
Pac-12 or used to be the Pac-12. Now the Big Ten with all those and the ACC are very much well, and of course the SEC is too hard to keep out of the rankings. But there's definitely a little bit of bias. It's a great thing about the baseball rights with 33 people voting on the poll every week.
We're joined by Lee Baker. Lee, hey, how are you doing out there in West Texas?
Doing fine. Wind blowing as always, man. It's howling out here. But sorry I'm late. I was watching a Japanese baseball game, and I forgot to get on the internet, so I apologize.
That's your favorite hobby, watching Japanese baseball.
Well, I tape them.
Well, speaking of Japanese baseball, tell me what's wrong with this pitcher that the Astros got. That guy's been worthless so far.
Yeah, it's a little different. I was watching a guy pitch today, and he was throwing at 94, but they don't do it every time. It's different coming over here. Some guys can handle it, and some guys can't. I'm still wondering how that Sasaki guy for the Dodgers. I watched him pitch a perfect game one night on TV in Japan. But
really,
and then last year he managed to get through the World Series. But he's had some arm issues. We'll see what happens. It's interesting when they come over. But in fact, ironically, I'm watching the game I was watching a while ago. Some of you may know this. There was a guy named Carter Stewart who was like a first-round pick of the Atlanta Braves. In fact, he was the 8th pick in 2019, 18, something like that. Anyway, he said bye-bye to Atlanta, and he's been in Japan. He went straight to Japan and has been playing for a team over there, pitching today. So you never know.
Wow. Tom, before you go, we must give Coach K, who is under the weather today and is not going to be with us, a little bit of kudos here. He was very adamant last week picking Rory McIlroy as the winner of the Masters. We picked Scotty Scheffler, so we had the top 2 covered.
We did, and I'll tell you, I agree. You and I were talking off camera. I think if Scheffler had 1 or 2 more holes, he might have taken home the crown.
I think so.
McIlroy seemed like he was running out of gas, and in fact, on that 18th hole, he went off and landed on the fairway of another hole. I think it was the 10th hole. Landed on the fairway of that, and there's some pros that think he should have been penalized for that. It's kind of interesting. Who knows what would have happened, but he recovered and did what he had to do to win by that 1 stroke.
We did have a Jordan Spieth sighting as well as an Oberg sighting, so those guys are still plugging away in the PGA.
Yes, it was amazing. And before I go, I've got to give my grandsons some soccer love. They both play soccer. They're toddlers. They're 5 and 3. They love to play soccer, and they're excited about the World Cup coming up. I wish I could join the conversation with Jorge tonight about that, but I will go back and tune in. So Jorge, good luck in the broadcast. I know it's going to be an exciting tournament coming up, and it was wonderful to meet you. And guys, it's always great seeing everybody. So I'm gonna log out here. You guys take care.
Regresar al territorio de New Orleans, la 48 específicamente, la penetración le va de Pollard. ¡Ay! Contra el otra vez, total a la 40, a la 30, a la 20. ¡Adiós! ¡Touchdown! ¡Dallas! Tony Pollard all the way!
as Tom alluded to, special guest today is a man who has been on just about every type of media, from Univision to Telemundo, ESPN, Deportes, Fox Sports, Fox Deportes, Apple TV, that he's presently doing the MLS, and Peacock. What did you do? And welcome to Jorge Perez Navarro, who is a very, I will fess up to it, is a very close personal friend. Welcome to the show, Jorge.
John, I was going to address you the way that I usually call you. First of all, thank you very much. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. I'm a fan of the podcast, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. I love listening to your stories, guys. And if you allow me to just add one, now that you were talking about the Masters, I remember Coach addressing Rory McIlroy as his favorite. I was with my associate about to have dinner on Friday night in Vancouver, Canada, and they had a couple of monitors, and in one of them they had the coverage of the Masters. And we started talking about it, and I said, I have a friend who has his podcast, and one of the personalities there said that he was rooting for Rory and that he saw him like a real, true contender. And then suddenly, in the graphic appears that Rory was leading by 6 strokes. And I was like, there you go. That was Coach's prediction.
All right. Sportz-USA is getting some love internationally. Well, again, let me tell you what Jorge is doing right now. He is the face and the voice of MLS on Apple TV. And boy, you have just a tough workload. You're going across the country. But I'm sure you're having fun going to places like Vancouver and Austin and Denver and Salt Lake City, some of the places you regularly go.
Yeah, I can tell you that when I wake up at 3:00 in the morning, leaving to the airport at 3:30. And I mean, all the glamour that people think that TV and this business has, I think
goes
that
out the window.
I think that when you are able to find your true passion, when you are blessed with the possibility of doing it for so long, you have to be always grateful. It has its goods and its bads. And you have to travel. Yes, sometimes you don't have a lot of time to do some tourism or go sightseeing, but it's still amazing, the opportunity. Vancouver was a long trip. It was great to see a city that it's starting to be ready for the World Cup. It's going to be one of the host cities in Canada. As a matter of fact, Team Canada is going to play 2 out of its 3 group games there. And the people, the atmosphere, the stadium, it's a very special feeling. It's like when you are at it's not comparable with American sports, because we have, well, probably the Super Bowl, that we know that by the end of the season we're going to play. I was thinking about the World Series, but we don't know where we're going to play the World Series until the pennants are defined. So
Right.
the Super Bowl, we are already headed there to the end of the season. And here it's the same. We know where we're going, and we know what would be the surroundings. And it's amazing seeing those places, how they start flourishing into a whole city, and opening their doors and their arms and their hearts to all the people from around the world visiting.
Vancouver's one of my favorite cities. It has a real international feel. When you go there, the architecture is sort of Japanese. I think some of the skyscrapers, they're not American looking. They're definitely, Pacific Rim looking.
It's a very European city. The architecture, even the hotel that we were staying at, very small areas. The room is like you have everything that you need, but it's like in a very small area. I thought you were going to mention one of those um, areas in Utah that were your favorite places, John.
Yeah,
All right,
we
now
have
you're going to
some
start telling
stories
stories
together.
on me. I'm going to still
that's right.
tell stories on you. Now, I will say that hopefully the one influence that I had over you is I made everybody get out on Friday night. You're saying that you didn't go sightseeing very much, but I really said we need to get out of the hotel. We need to go see a little bit of the surrounding area, and hopefully that still carries over to you today.
It's not that you left like a very important print in my life. You know that you're part of my life, my family. My son adores you, and you're always gonna be like one of my guardian angels in this country. I will be eternally grateful to you, and a thank you is never enough to show my gratitude. But
I'm paying him, guys. I'm paying
That's
him.
right. How much?
the way we done on the road was amazing. We always had to stop to get a Dr. Pepper and then go
Oh
and
yeah,
see
there
one
you
of
go.
the stadiums, the local stadiums, and the conversations were great because he's a great storyteller, and it didn't matter the topic. He always had a great story. It was kind of hard to negotiate if we could like have some input in the music in the car because it was his music and he prefers what he
It's
wants.
right. The
But
driver spins the music.
it's one of those moments that John appear in my life, and there has been a before and an after. He was my very first producer, director in broadcasting here in the States. I was working for KINT, Channel 26 here in El Paso, and he appeared in Las Cruces with this amazing project to broadcast the New Mexico State University games, both in English and Spanish. He developed, created the Aggie Network, and the project was amazing. And we're talking in a time that internet was still being something that we didn't know what was that. Now it's a normal thing in our lives, but back then it was like a new thing. So John just one day he called me out of the blue and he said, "Hey, I'm doing this project, and somebody recommended me. Somebody gave me your name, and are you interested?" And I was like, "Sure." And that's how I started collaborating with him, and because of that, and then the friendship that we started developing, I'm eternally grateful. Plus, my son says that Brenda's hot dogs are the best in the world.
All right, enough flowery stuff. You might tell him the Colonel story. Get that out. Jorge calls me the Colonel, and why do you do that?
That's a good rank to have.
Not Abuelo or something.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't remember the origin, but probably we were. I think it started like in one of those trips. I think it was in Boise when we went to the Blue Turf, and we were talking something, and like when you were at the bottom part of the talking, you were like the private. You were like, and I don't know how the colonel called me Sargento. And I just looked at him and I said, "Well, if I'm the sergeant or a sergento, that makes you the colonel." Yeah. So we started calling each other that way. And then when my son, who is right now 20 and is going to be with you guys, thank you for the invitation next week. When he started joining us, he started to be the private. So now we
That's
have the
right.
private,
He's got to work
El
his way
Sargento,
up.
and we have the
Private.
colonel over there.
Now, let me clarify how this got started. I believe it could have been Boise, but I was thinking it was at Utah. We went out to dinner one night, and of course, we usually walked somewhere. And a Cadillac went by, and I said, "Stick with me, guys. I'll make you a star, like the Colonel and Elvis."
Colonel Parker.
And you know what? It worked out pretty good for Jorge because he is definitely a star. One of the things that you got the opportunity through ESPN and Fox Sports is to do a lot of American sports in Spanish.
Yep. Probably something that not a lot of people know is that my favorite sport is football, American football, not soccer. I have developed a career as a play-by-play in soccer because most of the companies that I have worked for, the most of the rights are soccer games or soccer leagues or soccer tournaments. But my favorite sport it's American football or football. And as a matter of fact, I had my first two sports role models or idols weren't soccer players. One was a tennis player from Sweden. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, Bjorn Borg.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the second one was Joe Theismann. Thanks to my admiration for Joe Theismann, I became a back then Washington Redskins fan, now Washington Commander. And that's my team. And that has been, I was lucky enough to see them through the good years. In the last 20, we have sucked so bad. But it's my team, and those are the colors. I had the chance to meet Joe Theismann once. It was during Super Bowl 50, and I was on my way to an assignment, and I just looked at him, and it was one of those moments that I don't know why. I learned this business to be professional and always behave as a professional. But that was one of those moments that I kind of broke every kind of protocol in respect and line.
You
And I
became
told
a
my
fan.
no, I told my producer and my cameraman, listen, thanks to that guy, I became a fan of Washington. And the producer said, go, go. So I didn't think about it twice, and I went there and I introduced myself, Mr. Theismann. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to profess my respect and admiration. Thanks to you, I became a Washington fan. The guy looked at me and he just like hugged me so candidly. And he just started laughing and asking me about my story. And I told him I always wanted to wear number 7, but in the old days it was number 10, 11, or 12. That's it. So I had to keep the one like closer to 7, which was number 10. I told him that I wanted to play with one bar just like him. And he said, but your mom didn't allow to, right? No. Oh, God bless that woman, he said. So he was like very nice to me, and that makes the story even more special after completing a cycle.
I might add that Jorge actually played quarterback in American football team in Guadalajara growing up.
That was my position many, many pounds ago.
I'd like to ask a question. What do you think about all the conjecture of how expensive the tickets are and all of that as far as the people coming to the games? You think they'll all be sold out and people will pay the upper tier prices?
That has been a topic that has called a lot of attention. But it's been the same through the years, through the tournaments. It's a tournament that happens every 4 years, so we have to consider many elements to try to compare prices from one edition to the other one. Unfortunately, we are going through a let's call it tough financial situation everywhere. I mean, all around the world. Now, will probably every stadium be filled? I assume yes, because that has been the story. Maybe some tickets, if they're not sold, I don't know how it works, but this is gonna be my 6th World Cup, and
Oh,
through the first 5, I've never seen an empty stadium.
Wow.
I had reports, for example, in Korea and Japan, that some of the tickets weren't able to be sold, but they filled some seats with a bunch of kids from schools. And I
Uh-huh.
think that was a great experience for those youngsters to be able to attend to such an important event that probably they will never forget. And it's a life experience. And also gives all the atmosphere and the ambience that everybody is expecting. It's one of those things that you have to have in your bucket list. I remember when one of our first conversations with John, he was asking me, what is like the biggest thing you want to do? And I was like, well, I mean, it's either call a World Cup or a Super Bowl. And he asked me, have you ever called a college game? And I was not like, no, never. We'll talk about the same topic after you do that. And I've been able and blessed to have the opportunity to call big games in college for football and basketball. And it has no comparison. I mean, college is a total and complete different animal. And I have been invited. I live in El Paso, Texas, and I've been invited to do some radio games, especially about the rivalry between UTEP and NMSU, New Mexico State University. And I go gladly because I have like a front row seat for a great rivalry, a great game. They're always great games. The passion, the fans. It's something that I love just for the fun of loving or being close to sports.
Have you ever done a college baseball game? That's Bo Carter's expertise.
Yeah.
No, I covered and I did some high school games here in El Paso. On my first stint, I have to be honest. I mean, it's been quite a time. I was working for KINT in '99 and 2000, and in that season, baseball season, one of the high schools from El Paso made it all the way until I think the Final Four. I even traveled to Round Rock to the stadium that Nolan Ryan built,
Oh yeah, right.
and we did the game. They were eliminated in the Final Four at that stadium. It was a high school, but never college. I've never been close to any company that has put me to do college baseball. I would do it gladly. I did baseball back in Mexico. I have done some games that they needed somebody to do it. I'm rusty, but I think with time, I mean, you will get back, especially the timing is very important. Each game has a different timing. Each game has a different rhythm
Right.
and the way to put the stories and just to build the structure. But one, two, and you're back on the line.
Well, before you do go, I know let's cover what you always want to talk about the polls that are out. We've had a lot of shuffling in some of the teams, maybe 2, 3, 4, and down, but UCLA is still at the top.
27 consecutive wins. And by the way, John, it's so good to have Jorge on here. You probably remember he came to do a North Texas, New Mexico State basketball game, one of Lou Henson's final years there. And
That's
I
right.
think it was his first ever trip to Denton, and he was very unimpressed. But you were there we went and got a great meal somewhere. And Jorge, it's so good to have you on, man. We gotta get you to do a college baseball game sometime. You'd enjoy it.
Thank you.
Who is a team that maybe seems to have a bullet in the poll that's coming up fast?
Well, yeah, A&M, as we talked about earlier, I think they were 8-2 in their last 10 games, a lot of conference games. What's really scrambling the polls, as Tom pointed out, like Ole Miss goes down and sweeps LSU, Arkansas sweeps Alabama on the road. Mississippi State's lost 6 consecutive games after being as high as number 3, and SEC games after being number 3 in the country. So,
Right.
boy, once conference play starts, except for UCLA, which is 18-0 in the Big Ten, right? All-time best start in Big Ten history, going back to 1896. So, it's they look like the team to beat all the way around.
Kevin, we got to get you involved in here. How would you like to broadcast the Dallas Cowboys football game in Spanish?
¿De dónde es usted?
Sadly, it's the bitter rival of my Washington team. So Dallas, it's probably the one that chose here because if one time my son and myself did a road trip, father and son road trip, and he asked me, "Can we go and see the stadium?" And I'm like, "Okay." So to make a long story short, it was the Cowboys and the Giants. Bought the tickets. When we got there, he asked me, "Who are we gonna root for?" And I was like, "For the referees? I mean, can they both lose? I don't think that's possible. But I think we can have like a tie at the end." And I mean, I didn't want to see anybody winning because of the rivalry with Washington and the East Division in the National Conference. But Dallas, it's one of the teams that I grew up like being that kind of dynasty along with the Steelers and the Raiders in Mexico. I was born in '69. So those '70s were dominated by the Steelers, the Raiders, the Cowboys, were very popular in Mexico.
Right.
And
Well, they were
especially
very
with
popular everywhere.
Still are, yeah.
Roger Staubach. It was one of like the big guys. That's why I didn't like number 12 when I was playing because it was Roger Staubach. So the other day I was kind of surprised because in one of those posts, or irresponsible posts that you can find here and there in social media, somebody mentioned that Jim Plunkett died. I grew up watching Jim Plunkett. And then the special story about his parents and his special condition and his Hispanic heritage. I think he's a great story, especially he got to the Raiders when nobody gave 25 cents for him, and he ended up winning Super Bowl. So I think it's
Right.
a great story, and the Cowboys, to me, it was a good opportunity. It was one of the videos. I had the opportunity to do 2 NFL seasons for Fox Sports, and I had the chance to do several teams. It was the last game with the Packers for Aaron Rodgers after being eliminated in playoff by the 49ers. Great memories.
Well, Kevin, you can now tell Jorge about your soccer story.
You all, these guys have heard it before, Jorge. So, they may act a little bored, but I'm going to say about 15 years ago, I do a lot of play-by-play of high school events here in the Dallas area. And of all things, I got assigned to do the state championship soccer game between Plano West and South Lake Carroll. It was a girls' state championship game. And there was only one problem there, and that is I don't know much anything about soccer. And you really, really don't want to go to your bosses and say, hey, I better pass on this. I don't know anything about it. Because I do remember a story when I was working for a newspaper in New York called Newsday. I was assigned to cover a gymnastics championship. And of course, I don't know anything about gymnastics, but I went out there and I still managed to do a pretty, I think, functional story just by asking questions and whatnot. But at any rate, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I was actually walking around school that day, that week, with a book that said Soccer for Dummies. And, I was trying to pick up everything I could about soccer. Now, the saving grace is when I got out there, I got matched up with a partner my color guy, a European guy who knew all about soccer. I mean, and so I limited my commentary and just gave him the ball and told him to run with it. Like, she's dribbling down the far side, and I'll tell you what, they knocked the ball out of bounds. Jorge, tell us what happened there. Go from there. But anyhow, I got through it, and then nobody seemed to notice that I really didn't know much about the subject matter.
You actually sounded like Jack Buck and Hank Stram doing NFL games.
Probably no worse off. But that was quite an experience. And I kept that book, Soccer for Dummies. It's somewhere around my condominium. I can't locate it right now, but I will eventually.
Let me tell you this. We were in the middle of the pandemic, and John told me, hey, I need you to do me a favor. Yes, sure. I have this such and such game in LaGrange with K-Time, and I need you to help me doing it. Okay, so we'll do it through the computer. Perfect. So we set everything, and Sebastian, my son, asked me, hey, is there any difference between high school and professional? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the game is the same everywhere. So the game started. I mean, we were worried about getting at least the names of the players. And then you have to connect. 6 is Peter, 7 is Frank, 8 is John, whatever. So I got my first tactical and everything just like I prep any game. And then suddenly we start having subs. Okay, well, number 8 is going out. So I just grab it out of my list, and then suddenly there's a play, and if number 8 was playing like a winger or forward, like an offensive player, I just saw a number 8 running from the back 4, and I'm like, what? And then I saw that it was like a blonde guy with the long hair, and it's like it's the same 8. So okay, well, such and such is back in the game, and then suddenly number 8 is going out again, and I'm like, how many times can you be? I mean, can players go back and forth? So like for the fourth time that number 8 went out, I said, yeah, whatever. I mean, I don't care. I mean, As long as I see the number, I see the name. I'll say the name, and that's it. So don't feel bad, Mr. Long.
Okay.
I will tell you how amazing that was. That was during COVID.
Oh God.
And you guys may not know this, but you know the radio station that I built, we did all the high school streaming video as well. So when COVID hit, I was worried about sending a lot of people to games to do games. So what we did was really state of the art, because it was just a week or two later I saw the Astros do this. Is that we sent two people to do the actual videoing with the camera, and then we streamed it back to my computer at the station, and where I put in the graphics, and then we restreamed it out, to the public. And what was amazing is Jorge alluded to, he was in El Paso and he was calling a LaGrange High School game. And that was one of the first amazing things that we were able to do on video streaming. And believe me, there wasn't but maybe two or three teams in the state at that time that was streaming their high school soccer championship. So
that concept is going to be played out all over, John.
Yes,
I got a kick out of this. I didn't know this, but you would think NHL, hockey, big time. That's big time as you're going to get in sports. Well, one of the NHL teams, and I'm not going to mention their name because I'm not definitive about who exactly they were, but their play-by-play announcer left to go to somewhere else. And he was saying the reason he left, the reason he didn't want to work there anymore, is because he didn't get to go on any road trips. What they would do is, he would do the home games, and the away games, they would just stream, and he'd sit in a studio wherever they were located and do the play-by-play from there.
Well, Jorge can identify with that. You've done a lot of games like that, haven't you, on a network basis?
Well, because during the pandemic, it was the way that the network survived. As soon as sports restart and we had games again, not a lot of companies started sending people. I mean, they sent the most basic crew, and the rest, everybody was at home working. And one of the things that brings my attention is that I've heard your stories in the previous editions of the podcast, and we come from a different time and a different school way of doing things. But I think that pandemic changed everything and showed that it's possible and it's cheaper or less expensive. And the main example is that those ice hockey, the NHL playoffs, and the hunt for the Stanley Cup was made. There was this legendary play-by-play announcer who retired that year. I don't remember the name. Probably you guys do. But he called his last Stanley Cup from his house, and everything sounded like he was at the arena.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's the good and the bad of it. Lee, did you guys ever do anything like that?
Yeah, we did a little bit of it. Yeah, we hardly sent anyone out. It was really difficult to do on Friday night high school football shows, 30 minutes. We still did them in the studio as far as the people, but trying to get highlights and everything sent to us, what we're doing now is an offshoot of that, because everybody just went to Teams and whatever else there was to try to get the video sent back. Everybody got little like Jorge said, everybody got little computers and sent all the video back to the studio, and that's where it all came from. No, there was no shooting with your camera and running back to the studio. Everybody shot
Right.
and then went home.
Right.
Not only that, but if you check every network right now, currently, news, sports, they have all their pundits. Most of them are away now. They didn't like to do it that way because they argue that the quality and the shot and the light, now it's faster, easier, and cheaper or less expensive.
Right.
So
His
right now,
boat.
everybody's here, boom, boom, boom. But most of them are either at their house, at their office, whatever, and probably one or two are at the studio. Everything changed.
Yeah, it really did change everything. Bo, before you
Yeah.
go, I know
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to go.
Yep.
I actually, I think, taught Jorge something about soccer yesterday when we were talking. I was sort of trying to trace the history of soccer in the United States. And of course, the interest has always gone up after a World Cup. But I told him, I said, the first person that I can remember that came into my conscious about soccer was Kyle Rote Jr.,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
who
Yes.
played in Dallas for many years.
Mhm.
And that was with the North American Soccer League. And he was a first round draft choice
Yes.
and played for the Dallas Tornado. And Jorge really wasn't familiar with that. And so I started talking about, telling him about Lamar Hunt. And
Oh,
Jorge, you told me that he's in the Soccer Hall of Fame, correct?
yes. Yes.
Well,
It's
not only that, John. His family kept. I mean, he was he was one of the pillars that helped make Major League Soccer a reality.
Yep.
He was mostly involved with Columbus Crew, and to his credit, he built the first soccer-specific stadium, which was the old Crew Stadium. And right now, his family owns FC Dallas,
Yep.
right at the
Right.
stadium in Frisco, outside of Dallas.
Home of the soccer, National
Exactly, a
Soccer Hall
part
of Fame, by the
of
way.
the stadium that it's being renovated right now.
Yep.
They built the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. So not only that, but I don't know what the final take on the stadium, but there was a statue of Mr. Hunt, like at the other end of the stadium. The Hall of Fame is in one end. At the other end, there was one, and I was in Dallas like a month ago, and I
Uh-huh.
still saw the statue to commemorate everything that he did for the sport, and his family still continue the legacy. But it's a
Well,
very nice place. If you guys are in Frisco, you should stop there. It's not very big. I was in Canton, and I expected something like so big, and it's not that big. It has amazing memorabilia, and
Yep.
and the soccer one, it's also very peculiar. They're mixing also like the all memorabilia with technology, and in a way, sometimes you can interact with the old superstars of the game. So
right, right.
it's I think it's a great experience to go through.
Yep.
Well,
One
that
last thing.
league,
Oh, yeah.
was in action for a number of years, but it finally folded. And it took another World Cup in 1994 to jumpstart what is now the MLS. And Jorge, tell everybody about the 1994 USA World Cup team that really was amateurs playing against the world's best players.
Yes, John and I were having a conversation yesterday, and I'm going to rephrase the example I gave you, John. Back in the day in '94, I think this concept that nobody loves or likes or knows about soccer in the States, it's part of the past. Like Mr. Russo was mentioning that his grandkids were about to go to play. It doesn't matter the stage, but everybody has been related to soccer, at least to go and kick a ball outside or at a park or whichever elementary, middle school or high school. So maybe right now it's becoming an option among professional sports because
Sure.
now you can make a living as a soccer player here in the States. Not only that, there has been good talent that has been exported or sent to Europe or like bigger leagues that like Pulisic, the guy is playing with one of the best clubs in the world as it is AC Milan. There are others in this Team USA for 2026 that have created big expectations. But going back to the 94 topic, those kids in the old days, if you were good, you were finishing college in trying to make the national team. It was a program that You spend your whole year with the team, training, working out, doing what it was needed for those games and for the different competitions that the team was going to participate. In '94, a couple of players were playing abroad. Couple of others were playing indoor soccer, which is not the same turf, it's not the same dimension, it's not the same size, it's not the same condition. And there were a bunch of kids that were just barely out of college. So to me, I mentioned John. That could be like the story of ice hockey in 1980, Team USA. But he said, "Yeah, but they didn't win the championship." You are right. So to me, I'm going to change that, and it's like, are you guys familiar with the movie named Cool Runnings?
Oh yeah, the Jamaica hockey.
The
I mean, the
Jamaican
Oh
Jamaica.
yeah,
bobsled team
Yes.
yeah,
that in an island in the middle of the Caribbean decided to participate in the winter Olympic Games, and
yeah.
they picked bobsled because they were very fast. So, but it's not about winning like it's the movie. And one of the lines is, how do we know if we were successful or not? And John Candy, God rest his soul, says, you will find out once you cross the finish line. And at the end of the movie, they couldn't even finish the race. They crashed, but they crossed the finish line walking. And everybody, the trackers, critics, everybody who were like making fun of them, got on their feet and clapped to them. The spirit, the heart, what they meant, remembering us that this is a sport, and we have to compete first before winning. So those
Right.
kids in '94, they advanced the group stage. One win, one draw, and one loss. And then on the 4th of July, they lost 1-0 against Brazil, that at the end of the tournament ended up being the champion. In
Wow.
1-0,
Hmm.
those kids played their hearts, and they gave Brazil, the world champion at that time tournament, the fight of their lives. So it's one of those stories that we need to be proud, and we need to make that story be told by others so everybody knows about it. Most of those players became MLS players, and on their shoulders, a league was based, and now they're playing the 31st season.
Yeah, those players, went out and took the game, spread everywhere, and because of that, the interest that they created, then the MLS was formed in 2 years later in 1996, and the rest is history. And there has been a lot of growth in that league. As you mentioned, in '07, they had a new agreement that every one of those teams now had to build a soccer specific stadium to play in. And I think you're going to see that this year's World Cup played in the U.S. at 13 different locations across the country. I think within 4 or 5 years, soccer is just going to be exploding across the U.S.
I think it already is. I think that when you go, especially I saw it with my son going through the different school levels, elementary, middle, high school. You see the fields, you see the kids carrying soccer stuff, and it's impressive. A very large part of the population in every school practices sport. Now we are going through the process of becoming like a very wealthy sport. So if you are a multi-talented athlete, you can pick between playing baseball, playing basketball, and playing soccer, because in either of the three options, you're going to end up being a millionaire. Okay, MLS is not there yet, but now you can make a good living out of soccer here in America. So now it's there. The attendance, it's little by little staying and growing, which is very important. The MLS have developed a very important and interesting business program. They have completed partnerships with other leagues, and teams have partnerships with the biggest clubs around the world. And that's something that, for example, in the Mexican League didn't exist. They are learning in consider that the professional Mexican League has been around since 42, I think 42 or 43. So it's a big advantage, but they don't have that infrastructure.
Well,
I
I,
think
I
that
think one of the things,
I think
Jorge,
that
that you mentioned, you know, I think it's agreed that soccer is not the number one sport in the U.S., but in the U.S., they've had competition where around the world they don't have Major League Baseball or NFL, or they don't have the competition for the eyeballs. But I think that this is going to really change things.
correct. I mean, not only that, but one of the biggest changes is going to happen next year because the it was the MLS have still a calendar that is not the same as the rest of the world. Every other league starts in August, September, and goes all the way to May. And they leave the summer to play international tournaments like the World Cup or like Copa America, which is for this continent. Uh, MLS, due to weather, they start playing since late February until early December. Now they're going to change, and we're all going to move starting
Ah,
probably mid-August, late August, early September, and then we're going to be playing until May. It's going to be a big change.
Oh, I just wanted to say, you got time for a quick soccer story? I played golf with a guy in Amarillo who played in the NASL. And he was on the first, he told me he played in Cleveland for a team called the Stokers. They were attached to Stoke City in England. He played in the Cleveland Old Municipal Stadium. He played in Yankee Stadium. He played in Fenway Park. He played in Wrigley Field. And he said when he was on the first ever team with Seattle, and then he also played in Portland. And he said when he was in Portland, they played in basically what was a high school stadium. And that stadium now has been built up to where it's a soccer stadium now. But it's interesting to hear his stories. That Fox just did a story about when soccer came to America with Giorgio Canaglia and all those guys that came from Europe and tried to get the NASL and get everybody enthused. In fact, my friend I play golf with has a picture of he and Pele in 1976. This guy who was from Holland originally, is an American citizen, he was so good, he was on the U.S. national team, had 5 caps. But he has a picture of he and Pele at midfield in Washington, D.C. in 1976, when they had a I guess, an exhibition match. And then when Pele came to this country too, he got $1 million or whatever. But anyway, there's a guy in Amarillo, and he has some of the greatest stories you've ever heard in your life about the old NASL and how it started, how it built up, and then how it imploded at the end before coming back again 20 years later. One other thing,
John, if you allow me quickly, what we were just hearing, probably the most important key for the first stage of MLS was the financial discipline in which it was based and that they operated with. They didn't spend a lot of money, especially for the lessons they learned on the previous leagues that folded because of financial problems.
yeah,
So they were very disciplined. And when it was time to like grow in '07, they came out with this idea of the designated player or like a franchise
right.
player, and they were going to spend unlimited depending on each owner how much they wanted to spend to bring like a very well-known player. And that's the year that the LA Galaxy brought David Beckham here to the States.
right.
David Beckham was the door to that second stage, not only because the financial open of a market that is very interesting, but also the invitation to other well-known players to come to play the game. Now, it's not like in the old days that, oh, but he's going there to retire. No, it's a very competitive league. And even the players have said it so. If you're thinking that you're going there to retire, don't go. because you're going to humiliate yourself over there. It's a very competitive league. Many other players came. Beckham, part of his contract was getting a franchise when he retired.
Wow.
And then here comes part 3. That franchise became the Inter Miami Football Club. Now, there, Lionel Messi, the best player nowadays, and probably the best player from all time, is playing there. And that's part 3 of this development, with every team having their own stadium and every franchise. When we went through the pandemic, the MLS was one time that it was the only one without operating with red numbers. NFL went with red numbers, NBA, MLB, everybody except the MLS. That was due to the discipline that they have operated through the years.
One of the things that is impressive about FIFA and is also very shrewd is that everything goes through them. Now, they are the central arm for all sponsorships. And you'll see during the World Cup, all the stadiums will not have their normal names. Like in Houston, instead of NRG Stadium, it'll just be the Houston Stadium, and it'll just be the Dallas Stadium, because FIFA is in charge of all the sponsorship in and out of inside of the stadium. And that's a model that Kevin, we've talked about college football till we're blue in the face, and I'm not so sure that that's not a model that this sports commission should look at. It's sort of like what Cody Campbell has floated with his sports commission, that everybody pools revenue, and that's sort of like what FIFA has done. And so he's saying everybody pool their television rights, and we'll sell them. One entity will sell them, and we'll make a heck of a lot more money than the fragmented selling right now. Back to the Soccer for Dummies. What I'd like to get you to do is just preview, if you will, this summer's tournament. The first game, I think you told me, starts in Mexico City in June, and then the final game will be at the Meadowlands in
July 19th.
July 19th. Okay. For the first time ever, they've expanded the field to 48 teams. And just Soccer for Dummies, tell us how these teams are grouped and how they'll be spread out over these 13 cities, but and also give us your favorites for the tournament.
It's groups are split. Teams are split in groups of 4. 1 and 2 are advancing, and some third places will go forward. Then it's a knockout stage until we see a champion. It's a tournament of many firsts. The amount of teams, the amount of games. It's the first time organized by 3 countries. I mean, it's not going to be easy to go from Toronto to Mexico City.
Right.
It's not going to be easy to go from Monterrey to Seattle. It's a first, and I think also a World Cup. It's a life experience. What you can learn about the culture now, it's multiplied by 3, because American culture, it's different from Canadian culture, and it's different from Mexican culture. So it's gonna be like a vacation for those fans. We are going through some of the best stadiums in the world, and the big question is how teams and how players are going to react to a summer that we expect is not that bad, with warm temperatures and humidity. And the favorites, we are starting a stage of evolution where the biggest dynasties aren't what they were before. I mean, before every World Cup, in the previous editions, everything was Germany, Brazil, Argentina. I mean, the teams that have already won. Italy missed qualifying for the third tournament straight. They have won 4 championships, so they're done. Germany and Brazil are not what they were before. Now you have the new guard with France and Spain, maybe. People are considering Argentina still among the most important contenders. Lionel Messi is 4 years older.
Uh-huh.
It's very hard to repeat. I
Right.
mean, only Brazil in the 60s was able to repeat. It was 58 and 62. And it's not easy.
What who are the top 2 or 3 players from the MLS they're going to be playing in the tournament?
In the MLS?
Yes. I mean,
Well,
they'll go back to their national teams, right?
Lionel Messi
Yes.
and Song Hyun-min from South Korea. He's playing in Los Angeles Football Club, LAFC. It's another very well-known player. The MLS, it's the most diverse and one with the most number of players that will be in the World Cup around the world. I mean, more than Spain, more than Italy, more than England. Well, probably with England because of the way that they play over there due to the community. As long as you have an European passport, you can play in an elite. So,
Interesting.
yeah, compared to that, I mean, you can have 11 players not born in England, and still they're okay to play.
Right. Interesting. Let's wrap this up and go to our favorite part of the show, scattershooting. Lee, you want to start? What's your scattershooting moment
Well,
this
I
week?
just want to pay homage to Phil Garner, a guy they called Scrap Iron. I'm sure you talked a
bet.
lot to him, John, when he was the Astros manager, but I'm an old guy. I remember, and I love 70s, 60s, 70s baseball, and nobody epitomized it more than Phil Garner. You know, the mustache and the rough play that you don't get nowadays in baseball. And I didn't realize he had pancreatic cancer. He'd been battling for a couple of years. So it's a shame he passed away because, you know, all the years he led the Astros to their first ever World Series. Although they got
You
swept
bet.
by the White Sox, he still did something for that franchise. So
Like his nickname, Scrap Iron.
yeah.
Pancreatic cancer, unfortunately, is just a death sentence, but he probably battled it longer than most.
Yes, indeed. So it's a sad day for baseball for him going.
Kevin, what's your scattershooting moment this week?
You know, not a good one, John. Not a good one, but I'll go ahead and tell you anyway. You know, I don't know why maybe perhaps more cynical than the next guy, but you know, I always get a kick out of when you think somebody's got it made in the shade and you don't realize they've got problems just like anybody else has problems.
Sure.
Like, for example, 3 guys that I was very good friends with in college did very well in professional sports. And, you know, you would think their life was just incredible. And the fact of the matter is, they all practically had to go into hiding to get away from all the friends and relatives and friends of relatives and whatnot that wanted to lend money or see if they'd help them out in a pinch and whatnot. And, you know, that couldn't have been too much fun. But the point is, you think certain people have it made and they don't. And they got problems. And I guess I got devastated this week when a former Baylor player who was one of the top players in in college basketball about 15 years ago, she was a starter on a Baylor team that did very, very well. You know, they're saying passed away, but they won't say why. And on the internet, you know, in those chat rooms, a lot of people have speculated she committed suicide. You know, that she had demons that nobody knew about and she committed suicide. And I guess, John, it goes to show you, you may think people got it made, but that isn't always the case.
Yep. True story. Definitely. Jorge? You're going to have to follow that one. What's your scatter shooting moment this week?
I'm gonna knock you guys out of your chairs with my my topic today. But you being in Texas is part of the territory where a lot of great wrestlers came out from. And this weekend, WrestleMania is gonna happen, and
All right.
it gets to a world under a very dark shadow of questions about, first, where is wrestling going to? Second, it's becoming practically unaffordable to attend to this type of events because it's so expensive. Then entertainment, it's probably surpassing what the sport was at the beginning. Uh, the programming of the matches has been heavily questioned. There's even rumors that Vince McMahon could be back, buy the company again, but at his age, can he be like a true solution to recuperate a sport or an entertainment that has been a part of America for at least the last 50 or 60 years? I think we are at the moment where there's going to be a before and an after, not only for WrestleMania, but for wrestling in America.
Well, I tell you what, Vince McMahon's got plenty.
Yeah, brother.
He's got problems of his own. I don't know if you saw the DUI he had on video last month, but all right, we'll close this out. My scatter shooting moment is nothing special this week, but I thought it was pretty neat that the NFL has announced that 16 players that are going to be invited to the NFL draft. The thing that jumped out to me were there were 5 Ohio State players of those 16 that are invited to the draft. So where were the Buckeyes in the national championship last year? I mean, you have that kind of players, but Texas Tech's David Bailey is going to be there, and Kevin, he may go to Dallas. I think Jerry Jones is enamored by his play. But 5 players from one team in the top 16, that's pretty amazing. That'll wrap it up for this week. Everybody, appreciate the listen, the follow. Click subscribe for Sportz-USA.com, and we'll see you next week.
Regresar al territorio de New Orleans, la 48 específicamente, la penetración le va de Pollard. ¡Ay! Contra el otra vez, botar a la 40, a la 30, a la 20. ¡Adiós! ¡Touchdown! ¡Dallas! Tony Pollard all the way!
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Sportz-USA, available at our website at sportz-USA.com. And remember to click and favorite so you can join us next time on Sportz-USA.com.